Well, hey guys, it is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. It is great to be with you on Inspirations for Your Life. Happy New Year to everybody. If you're just joining me for the very first time, a big warm welcome and Happy New Year to you. Welcome to the show. If you're coming back, definitely a warm welcome back to you and thank you for joining us. And Happy New Year again. And we're now on the air. Well, 4 years and actually 7 days. So we're in our fifth year. We're celebrating being on the air 4 years and now, like I said, 7 days. So it's great to be with you guys. If you have not already checked believemeachieve.com, why not check that out after the show? Not now, but after the show. You can check that out. I think you guys will find that it is pretty interesting. All right, guys. So if you're thirsty, feel free to go grab something. Maybe it's hot, maybe it's cold or not. That's up to you. A snack, a fruit, whatever, healthy or not. And we're all about motivation here. And it's so great to have everybody here. So again, a big warm welcome back. But before I do kick the show off, feel free to go get something. Like I said, get comfy, come on back, and we'll have a great time. Welcome back, everyone, to the ever popular Inspirations for Your Life show. I am your host, John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur, engineer, marketing specialist, video producer, podcast host, coach, graduate student, and a passionate lifelong learner. And I'm here to help you protect your attention, beat procrastination, and work smarter, not harder. Today, remember that your focus is your most underprotected asset. So treat even a single 25-minute block like a meeting with your future. Remove one distraction instead of adding 3 apps. And if it takes less than 2 minutes, do it now. Start your day with your own agenda, not everyone else's notifications. Pick one uncomfortable task first and measure your progress by completed chunks, not busyness. Ask yourself, what is the one thing that will move everything else forward? And prioritize clarity over motivation, tiny focused bursts over scattered heroic efforts, and output over perfection every time. Close the emotional tabs, silence disruptive apps, work in sprints, schedule deep work during your sharpest hours, and leave your workspace, well, ready for tomorrow. Today's power move is one thing fully done, not 10 half-finished tasks. Your environment, your language, and your intentional pauses all shape the way you work. Protect your focus, finish more, and remember you're effective not because of how busy you seem, but because of how purposeful you are. That's important, guys. And I think a lot of people, they miss that point. They miss the point because I think a lot of people don't understand like what life is really about. And I say that in a very how do I say? I say that in a very modest way, right? Because I think sometimes people just get, I don't know, I think they just get knocked out of whack, right? And by getting knocked out of whack, it's not something you want to happen, but let's face it, it does happen, guys. It does put us in that spot where, we get knocked out of whack. And when we get knocked out of whack, it's like, well, what do we do from here? Like, what are we supposed to do? And a lot of people have this question about, like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. All I know is that what I did yesterday doesn't seem to work anymore. And, there's a reason for that. I think the reason for that is that people oftentimes they get involved in things, but then they just, I don't know, they get lost, right? They lose their focus. And I think that's a very, very big thing that a lot of people, they don't realize. And so we talk about protecting our assets. It's very, very important to do that. It is key to our success and those around us. And I'm hoping that as you start to learn these nuggets that I share with you, it'll make a difference in your life. Not just today, tomorrow, but every day in the future. Protect your attention, beat the procrastination. And as I said, work smarter, not harder. Remember that your focus is your most underprotected asset, as I said. So, why don't we kick off and actually do something with it? Use it in a viable way and stop getting distracted because I know that happens to so many people. They get distracted and they don't know what to do. So, start your day with your own agenda, not everyone else's, as I said, especially not their notifications that are, let's say, disrupting every moment of your life. Yeah, I think these are interesting things to ponder and talk about. What's the one thing that will move everything else forward for you? Do you know what it is yet? I know I asked you before. And again, prioritize the clarity over motivation. Tiny focus bursts. That's the key, guys. I think a lot of times we get distracted by something that catches a glimpse of us. And then when we try to get back, it's like, what was I doing? What am I working on? We've all had those moments, right? So, again, protecting our attention is really key. You know, as I said, leaving your workspace ready for tomorrow. Today's power move is the one thing that's fully done, not 10 to have finished tasks or your undone things, right? I think when we realize that we have more power to do these things, it actually influences us to change our life. Now, not overnight, but it does. And so, because of how busy you seem, but because of how purposeful you are, that's what gets things done, guys, every single day, day in and day out. I think that's a very important thing. But a lot of people don't realize that you can get those things done every single day. That's right, guys. Every single day, you can get these things done in your life. And I think that can be a challenge for some people because they don't necessarily know, like I said, they don't know where or why they're even going anywhere, right? Where or why are they going? And I think the where or why causes people to, I don't know, it causes people to change just a little bit. And that little bit could be the difference between you making a big difference in your life and you making, well, no impact at all. So these are really important things that we need to understand. So protect um, that block, right? As I said, if it takes 2 minutes, do it now. Task switch less, finish more. Ask what is the one thing that will move it forward for me. Make a to do list, not a life list. Okay, that's important. Perfectionism is just procrastination, wearing a fancy, well, coat and hat. We often wait to start until the conditions are perfect. But you know what? Spoiler alert, conditions are never going to be perfect. I'm sorry, guys. They just are not. And so that's important. Okay. Very important. Maybe you're confused on that. Maybe not. Maybe you're wondering, what could I change about myself? What could I do, well, differently? I think that would probably cause us to be different in our lives. Again, not because we have to, but because we should want to. And when want comes, or let's say push comes to play with want, that really changes who we are, guys. It changes who we are every single day. But sometimes we get stuck, right? We oftentimes get stuck and like, how do I get out of this mess? We've all been there before. So protecting is important. Focusing the productivity on things that actually, well, bring us a result. Had a lot of people I know, and they say, you know what, I'm doing something. I'm really busy. And people equated busy with success. Busy doesn't mean success. Busy means using time, but not all busy is actually going to generate success. That probably gives you an eye opener there, right? If I told you to protect one 25-minute block, would you do it? Or would you be like, oh, I got more? There's always more 25-minute blocks. A quick story. So, right around COVID time, when we were using like Zoom and these things, and I was having appointments being booked, virtually. I figured, oh, what's the big deal? I'll let my calendar be wide open, let people check whatever time I had. And oh my gosh, guys, that was the worst thing I could have done. Within a couple days of going to some of these networking events, which some of them were a lot of them were terrible. They connected me with people that, first of all, didn't have a clue. They wanted to get on my calendar. You know why? They wanted to try to sell me something. And guys, that's terrible. And they were doing it in such a very low, slimy way. So I realized I need to be more decisive. So I decided I was going to cut back the number of slots I had available. Good idea, right? But I still realized that I was burning a lot of time. And so I said, what else can I do? Because the problem is that people are eating up my time. And these are not people that are going to game change my life. They're not going to help me get more successful. They're going to keep stealing my time. I don't know about you, but there's only so much free time you can give, right? That's an important one. Ask this question. What is the one thing that would move everything else forward? We said it before. Your brain is not meant to be in 12 tabs at once. Sorry, guys, it's not. Even your computer doesn't like 50 million tabs open. What happens when you have too many open? You don't have enough memory? Computer just kind of crawls until it may crash because you have too many windows open. Make a to-do list. Like I said, not a to-life list. Perfectionism really hurts many people's success. And they don't even know what's happening. They don't know how it's robbing them of their ultimate freedom. Start ugly, guys. Then refine the output first. Polish it later. It doesn't have to be sparkling right now. Work in sprints and rest in minutes, not months. You're not unmotivated. You're just unclear of what the next step or steps should be. Schedule deep work during your naturally sharp hours. Don't confuse planning with progressing. Pick 3 priorities. You can do that. Everything else is, well, an optional bonus. Your environment should make the right work easy to start. Close one tab that's been open for emotional reasons, not logical ones. Ask this question. Am I really busy or am I effective? As I said, being busy doesn't mean you're going to be successful. Start with the frog. One uncomfortable task early. Let's get the frog out of the way. Now, I don't hate frogs, but some people don't like them. Let's get the frog out. Let's get the thing that's causing you to fret out of the way first. Because then everything else will be downhill. Everything else will be easy for you. Measure the day in finished chunks, not busyness. There was a great um movie and also play out there called Rent, right? And they said, how do you measure love? You can measure it in so many different things. You don't measure it in minutes. You measure it in the amount of connections you get, the smiles, the walks, the talks. And we start to realize that we don't measure something the way everything else is measured. Like, you want to measure milk, you can measure it with a measuring cup. You want to measure temperature, use a thermometer, right? Thermostat. You want to measure, let's say, a precise angle. You can use a laser. So there's lots of ways we can measure different types of things. You want to measure the appropriate lighting for a video scene or a photo scene, use a light meter. And so, as we understand this, the same way we measure light is not the same way we measure milk in a, let's say, a measuring cup. It's different. So, I think when things get different, it causes people to say, wait a minute, I don't know if I'm doing this right. And you don't have to be doing it right. You can actually learn from the mistake that you made or mistakes. Mute one chat that hijacks your focus daily. We've all had this happen. Your worth is not tied to how overwhelmed you sound. Set a timer and tell your brain, we only have to focus until this rings. Remember that? Pomodoro time. Give your future self a gift. Leave your workspace ready for tomorrow. We've said that before, but it's so important. Stop mid-task on purpose so it's easier to restart tomorrow. Replace I'll have no time with I haven't prioritized this yet. Tiny focus bursts beat scattered heroic efforts. Today's power move is one thing fully done, not 10 things half done. Start implementing one tip today and watch your productivity soar, compound more than you ever imagined. That's pretty clever. So, if we think about a perspective, perspectives are what create the magic in life because life shows us who we are. Life shows us what we have by our perspectives that we understand. That's important. And everyone from all different races, nationalities, genders, they see things a little bit differently. And it's that difference that helps make the world go round, right? That's a very, very powerful thing, guys. If you could stop for a moment and we call the timeout, right? We've all been in this mode. Maybe you're getting ready to go away on a vacation like I did, or you're getting ready to plan a party. And everything just sort of like, I don't know, just runs into everything else. And you're like, I need a break. I need a breath. I need direction. But many of us don't take the time to experience that. We just don't take the time. If time changed, we only get 60 minutes in an hour. But time can change. You just said, John, there's only 60 seconds in a minute and 60 minutes in an hour. I did say that. But time can go slower or quicker based on our perception of our orientation in space or in the world at the current moment. That's powerful, guys. And I know that many people out there will do 100 things. And then they'll do nothing. They'll do absolutely nothing. Because for some reason, they fall out of alignment to who they are, to where they are, to what they are. And this all happens with a simple mental shift, a little mental shift. The shift could start out with a little bit of gratitude. It could start out somebody else maybe giving you a compliment. The shift from where I am right now to where I could be a minute from now, 5 minutes from now, 60 minutes from now, have the power to transform our lives every single day. That's powerful, guys. So I want to ask you a question. And the question is this: what can you do to protect your attention and stop procrastination? We talked about the Pomodoro time, right? Where you could use Pomodoro time. We've talked about that before. And you only have to focus until the bell goes off or until the alarm goes off, right? What else can we do to protect our attention? Focus on small tasks so we don't get too overwhelmed. So we can manage the time. We can manage the tasks that we're on. You know what else we could do? We could manage the feeling that we have. Yeah, we can manage the feeling. You've been places before where maybe something wasn't going the way you wanted. And that time just sort of like lagged, right? It lagged so much that you wanted the moment to be over. And there's been other times when you're like, wow, we've been here all day, but it only seems like we've been here for 10 minutes. When the mind and body get engaged, time just flies. They say time flies when you're having fun. But really, it's the mind that's occupied. So it's not so concerned about time. It's not so vested in how many minutes. I remember this one kid came to one of my science STEM classes, and his mother drops him off. First thing I'm saying to myself, we're not a babysitting service. So I'm saying this to myself. And nice kid and all. So he had attention deficit disorder. So I was working with him, trying to get him excited. He likes science. But then after a few minutes, he's like, when's this over? He's only been there 5 minutes. In an hour and a half. How many minutes is that? He was so concerned about when it was over that he wasn't enjoying the whole benefit. I think that's because of his ADHD. But people like that, you have to keep them constantly engaged. You have to get their senses a little overwhelmed so that their mind doesn't drift. That's powerful, guys. And so if you were to say to me, John, what could you do to mitigate distractions? I would say I make sure I pick a place where I won't be distracted, a peaceful, tranquil place. This could be in your home, this could be outside, whatever it is. But you got to make sure that this place is going to be conducive for whatever you need it for, whether it's studying, whether it's relaxing. And something about the sounds and about the scenes of the environment have the power to, I'm going to say, magically teleport us somewhere else in the mind. Any of you have done meditation before, you know that when you get into meditation, like, wow, that only seemed a couple minutes, but I was there for an hour. That's what the timer says. That blows my mind. So our mind loses comprehension of time when it's preoccupied. If we lose perception of time, does that mean that we are not at our full ability? No. Actually, quite the contrary. When we get lost in time, our body's like, let's be creative, right? And when we start to be creative and we start to have this free flow, we notice that something is different, but we can't put our finger on it right away. This is why a lot of companies are putting money into creative rooms where they're ditching the suits and things like that and creating like playrooms for adults, like ice hockey and foosball tables and pool tables and even things like Pac-Man and other video games and Wii and PS3 and PS4 and things like that. Because these companies know that when we engage the mind, the creativity gets set on fire in a way that cannot even be explained. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. Be sure to check out BelieveMeAchieve.com for more of my amazing, inspiring creations. Have a great one, everyone, and be well.